Good morning, guys. In yesterday's session, we have seen what is FI and why it is not recommended. So, field injection is recommended or field injection is not recommended.
Field injection is not
Not
recommended.
recommended.
Not recommended.
Not recommended.
Field FI is not recommended. Not recommended because it violates single
Single responsibility binding.
single responsibility principle. Now, if we use constructor injection, 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 and if we take multiple constructor arguments, then code gives code smell when we do code review. When we do code review, that means there is something problem in the code. We have to fix that problem. So that's why we don't go for field injection. We will go for constructor injection. It will inform if something is wrong in the code. It will inform if something is wrong in the code. All right. So with this, we understood what is IOC container, what is dependency injection, what is setter injection, what is constructor injection, and what is field injection, how they are working internally, how field injection is working, and why the field injection is not recommended. Good.
Sir, may I ask you one doubt, sir?
Yep.
Actually, sir, suppose I have a service class and I have a DAO class, okay, and I want to inject a DAO in service class, okay. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Tell me. I am hearing.
Yes, sir. Sir, using auto word annotation, that is constructor injection, sir.
I did not get your question.
So my question is, suppose
you have a service, you have a DAO.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me take here. You have a service and you have a DAO. DAO,
yes,
you are treated as a field in the service.
Yes, sir.
The next.
This is I'm talking about this one. This is field injection, sir.
Yes, sir.
But you said field injection is not recommended. But even the but you are using, sir.
Yeah, not recommended. But I am explaining you the concept, but not recommended to use in the project.
Okay, sir.
Okay, we need recommended to go for constructor.
Okay, sir.
Yep.
Sure. Is there any particular use for field injection?
There is no use, sir. There is no use. It is simply easy to write it. Generally, people will use that concept, but if you really think about it, that's not recommended. There is no special use case. There is no special advantage of that. The only advantage, it is easy to write it. The code looks very clean.
Yeah, sir. In industry also we are following same, sir. Field injection only we are following.
But most of the people who are using field injection is not aware of these details.
Yeah.
Hi, Ashok. Ashok, what is the difference between dependency injection and IOC? One interview asked me this question.
Actually, we should not compare them, sir. IOC container will perform the dependency injection. We can't compare them. We can't find out the differences. Both are one concept only. These are not two different concepts. IOC container is a memory. There the objects will be available for the Spring Beans, and it is going to perform the dependency injection, and it is going to inject the dependent object into target object. We can't tell any differences for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Have only two fields in our injection.
Hello. We have one or two fields. Sir, your voice is breaking.
Hello.
Your voice is too low, man.
Actually, I was asking if we have only 2 or 3 fields, like attribute fields, so then we will prefer to the constructor injection only or the setter.
Constructor is recommended. You can go for, if you have 2 dependents or 3 dependents, you can go for constructor. No problem. Okay, good. Next, coming to today's topic. Today we are going to talk about. Today I will take your questions at the end. Please let me allow to complete this. Okay, I will take up your questions. Right. So today's topic, Today we are going to talk about a concept called auto wiring. Right now, so first of all, what is this auto wiring? Auto wiring is used to inform the IOC container to inject dependent object into target object. Okay, earlier, excuse me. Yes, earlier, when we used to work with Spring Framework, we used to configure our classes as beans in the Spring configuration file. Earlier, we used to configure our classes as beans in the Spring Bean configuration file. When you configure our class as a bean in the bean configuration file, manually we need to specify what is the target bean and what is the dependent bean. Manually we have to configure what is the target bean and what is the dependent bean. But nowadays we are not using that XML configuration anymore. We moved completely to annotations in the Spring Boot. In the Spring Boot, no XML. Everything is annotation based configuration. Whenever you go for annotation based configuration, we are representing our classes as a Spring Beans. By using stereotype annotations, we are representing our classes as Spring Beans. By using stereotype annotations, we are representing our classes as Spring Beans. When we represent our classes as Spring Beans, how dependent object will be identified and how target object will be identified. So to inform the IOC container what is the dependent object and what is the target object, we are going to enable this auto wiring. Auto wiring is the process of injecting auto wiring. Auto wiring is the process which is used to inject dependent object into target object automatically by IOC container. Earlier, people, that means programmers, earlier programmers used to perform manual wiring. Earlier, programmers used to perform manual wiring, but now IOC container is capable of doing auto wiring. Automatically, it will inject the dependent object into target object. Target object. To enable auto wiring, to enable to perform the auto wiring, to perform auto wiring, we will use @ void annotation. To perform auto wiring, we will use @ void annotation. Now, at what places you can use the auto wiring? Auto void annotation we can use at below places. Auto void annotation we can use at below places. Auto void annotation we can use at below places. So we can use at field level. Can I use auto void at the field level?
Yes.
Then it is called
Yes,
as
sir.
Field.
Field injection.
Yes, sir.
auto wiring at
Field
the
injection.
field level. Then it will become field injection. Can I specify auto wiring at the say method level?
Yes.
Can I
Yes, we
specify this at the
Yes,
method
sir.
level?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm going to specify at field level, at setter method level. Then I'm going to specify auto wiring
Level.
at constructor also. At constructor level. Can I specify auto wiring at the constructor level also?
yes, sir.
Yes,
Auto
sir.
wiring we are specifying at the constructor level also. Auto wiring we are specifying at the constructor level also. Right. At variable level you can specify that. At variable level you can specify that. At setter method level you can specify that. At constructor level also you can specify auto wiring. So what is the purpose of auto wiring? Auto wiring is used to enable the dependency injection. So IOC container will identify the dependent bean that will be injected to target bean automatically. So to specify that auto wiring or to perform that auto wiring, we will use @ void annotation. Auto-wide annotation, we can use it below places. We can use that at the field level. We can use that at the setter method level. We can use that at the constructor level also. We can use it at the field level. We can use it at the setter method level, and we can use that at the constructor level also.
So
Yep.
I have a query. A dependency injection is also the process of injecting the dependent object in target class, and auto-wiring is also same definition. So what is the difference?
No. Whenever you specify auto wiring, then only dependency injection will happen, right? If I remove this auto wiring, dependency injection will happen or will not happen?
Not happen.
Not happening.
That's what. So if you specify like this, then only IOC container will understand that user DAO is a dependent for the user service. Whenever I specify this, then only it will understand that user DAO is a dependent for user service. Otherwise, it cannot understand that, right? If I specify this, then only it will understand. That means it has to perform the dependency injection. If I don't do this, it will just declare as a field. Dependency injection will happen, or dependency injection will not happen here.
No happen.
That is what. So earlier when you go for the normal Spring Core module, XML configuration will be available. In that XML configuration, we will represent this user service as one bean. We will represent the user DAO also as one bean. Then we will inject user DAO bean into user service bean manually. That means manually you are going to specify what is the dependent and what is the target. But now, do we need to specify that in the XML, or IOC can automatically identify that information? IOC can automatically identify that information. Automatically identify that information. How does IOC is identifying that information? How that IOC is identifying that information? Auto-wiring. Okay. So by using auto-wiring, it is identifying that information. Is this clear for all of you?
Yes.
Good. Fine.
So we can say also it's a communication between two different object.
Exactly. It is establishing that it is giving instruction to the IOC container to perform the dependency injection.
Okay.
Got it. So auto-wired is an annotation which is giving instruction to the IOC container to perform the dependency injection. So if I don't give this instruction to the IOC container, will it inject the DAO object into service, or it will not inject the DAO object into service here? Now, by look at this class, dependency injection will happen for this class, or dependency injection will not happen for this class?
Will not happen for the class.
Will not happen. Why dependency injection will not happen?
Because
don't have any information. IOC container don't have any information from this class saying that it requires the DAO object. It is not giving that information to the IOC container. If it gives information to the IOC container, then only it can inject it. How this class can give information to IOC container saying that I need the DAO object?
The help of
by writing @auto-wide. If this class contains a variable with auto-wide annotation, then IOC container will understand that this class requires that object. Then IOC will inject that object into this class. That is called dependency injection. How IOC will know that it has to perform the dependency injection? With the help of this annotation, it is recognizing that it has to perform the dependency injection. Okay, got it.
What we are writing in XML
process
file,
which is used to inform the IOC container. Auto-wiring is the process which is used to inform IOC to inject dependent object into target object automatically. Right now, auto-wiring is the process which is used to inform the IOC to inject dependent object into target object automatically. So to perform auto-wiring, we will use @auto-wide annotation. This auto-wide annotation we can specify at 3 places. You can specify that at the variable level. You can specify that at the method level. You can specify that at the constructor level also. Able to understand?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have one question. if you use that annotation, then only IFC container can perform
inject.
dependency injection.
Exactly. Otherwise, it will not do that.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
I think we are doing the in XML. We are giving the bean ID and also package name we are giving. That is the in the instead of auto wire writing.
Yep. Instead of doing that manual wiring, we are going for auto wiring.
Okay. That is the manual wiring we call as.
Right.
Can we see
Yeah,
the
hello,
job?
Ashok sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yesterday one interview is done. Is asking auto wide, but same things I told, but interview is not satisfied.
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. So the
I
auto wiring
think
is
he
not
doesn't
completed.
know.
We'll come to. Right. Now, whenever we enable auto wide annotation, how it is going to identify the dependent? How it is going to identify the dependent? By default, auto wiring will perform based on byte type mechanism. What is that?
Byte type mechanism.
Byte type mechanism. So whenever I specify auto wiring annotation at this variable, it is going to check what is the variable and what is the data type of the variable. What is the data type of the variable?
User DAO.
User DAO. Then IOC container is going to check in that IOC, is there any object available for user DAO? So based on data type of the variable, it is going to identify the dependent object. So what is the default mode of auto wiring?
Byte type.
By type.
Byte type.
Now,
By type.
auto wiring having modes. Auto wiring having modes. Auto wiring having modes. First one is by type. By type. By name.
Name.
Constructor.
Constructor also comes under by type only, sir. By name, by type, constructor. These are the three modes available for auto wiring. What is the first one? By type. What is the meaning of by type mode? By type mode means whenever we declare a variable with auto wiring annotation, it is going to identify, because in the application there are so many classes are available. In the application there are so many classes are available. How it will identify which class object should be stored to this variable now?
Sync type.
Basis on the type.
Based on the data type. So what is the data type of this variable? User
User
DAO.
DAO.
User DAO. So it is going to check in the memory, is there any object which is belongs to user DAO class? Then that object will be injected into this DAO variable, this DAO variable. So that is called byte type. That is called byte type. Are you able to understand how byte type is working? Based on data type of the variable, it is going to identify the object of that class and will inject that object into that variable. Okay, very good. There is one small problem here. What is that? I will specify this DAO as an interface. I will specify this DAO as a interface and I will create one IMPL class for the DAO. Okay. User DAO interface I am going to create. For user DAO IMPL class I am going to create. New class user DAO IMPL. User DAO IMPL. In that, I will write these things. User DAO IMPL. This is the constructor. And it is going to implement user DAO interface. In that, I am writing one method. Abstract method. Interface abstract method. Specify this as an interface. Then remove this annotation. Okay, it is my interface. Now this is my class which is implementing this interface. Implements user DAO. This one I'm going to specify as a string bean. This one I'm going to specify as a Spring Bean. Public class user DAO IMPL, which is going to implement this DAO interface. This class I'm going to represent as a Spring Bean by using repository annotation. Valid or not? Guys, is this valid Spring Bean or not? Is this valid Spring Bean or not?
Yes.
Yes.
It
It's
is
a
a
valid
valid
Spring
Spring
Bean.
Bean.
Yeah.
It is a valid Spring Bean. In user service, in users, now guys observe, user DAO is an interface. User DAO is an interface. DAO IMPL is the implementation class for that. DAO IMPL is the class for that. Now, in the service, what I have specified, DAO I have specified. DAO user DAO I have specified. User DAO is an interface or user DAO is a class.
Interface.
User DAO is an interface or user DAO is a class.
Interface.
Interface. Now, if I specify user DAO as AutoWire object, as a AutoWire candidate for user service, do you think that IOC will create the object for the user DAO interface, or IOC will not create the object for user DAO interface?
Will
create the object for
create.
user DAO IMPL.
It will create the object for the
Now, first of all,
implementation class.
can we create the object for a interface, or we cannot
No.
create the object for interface?
No,
cannot
sir.
We
Cannot
will create the implementation class of
We
user
cannot
DAO.
create object for the interface. If we cannot create it, IOC can create it, or IOC cannot create it
IOC can.
Cannot
Cannot
for
create.
interface.
interface.
No, it's
No.
IOC cannot
create
create it. IOC
Yes.
cannot create the object for the interface. It is
IOC
against.
also cannot create.
In the Java, we don't have an option to create the object for the interface. Programmer cannot create it. IOC also cannot create it. But what I have specified here, user DAO, I specified with the AutoWire. User DAO I have specified with the AutoWire. Now what will happen is, whenever IOC container creating the object for the user service, it will identify that user DAO is a dependent for the user service. User DAO is a dependent for the user service. That means IOC has to inject user DAO object into user service. But unfortunately, user DAO is a interface. It cannot create the object for the interface. Now, what is the default mode of the auto wiring?
by
What
type.
is the default mode of
By type.
By type.
By type.
by type? What is the data type of the variable now?
User DAO.
User DAO.
User DAO is what?
Interface.
Interface.
Now, here IOC container will apply the brain. Guys, observe carefully.
Yes.
IOC container will apply the brain. Here, for user service, user DAO is a dependent because AutoWire annotation is specified. That means user DAO object should be injected to user service. User DAO is an interface. Then what IOC will do is, it will apply its brain. IOC think in this way. Hare, this is an interface. I cannot create the object for the interface. Let me check. Is there any implementation class for the interface?
Yes, sir.
Is there any implementation class for the interface? If implementation class is available for the interface, then it is going to inject that implementation class object into this interface. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it is injecting implementation class object into this interface, interface variable can hold implementation class object or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Interface variable can hold implementation class object or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Interface reference variable can hold implementation class
Implementation
object.
class.
Now tell
Yes.
me, which class object will be stored to this variable?
Implementation.
User
Implementation.
Implementation class.
Implementation
class.
Implementation class object will be stored. How it will identify the implementation class object?
IOC container.
I use it.
IOC can
container
check.
will check the by type. Whenever it check the by type, there is one implementation class available, which is user DAO IMPL for the user DAO interface. Then it is going to inject that object here. Very good. User DAO IMPL constructor. Now this method is going to be called. Now let me write system.out.println system.out.println user DAO IMPL method called. User DAO IMPL method called. Now let's test this application. test this application. User of IMPL method called or not?
Yes, called.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, sir. Now I will do one small thing. Instead of this along with the user DAO IMPL, I'm going to create one more IMPL for the same interface, which is called person DAO IMPL. Interface is same. I'm just implementing that interface in one more class. This is person DAO IMPL constructor. Person DAO IMPL method called. If it is 101, it will return Ram. If it is 102, it will return Sita. Okay. Now go to service. Go to service. Now in our service, we are having a dependency with the user DAO. I have a user service. Okay. User service class I have taken. User service is a Spring Bean or user service is not a Spring Bean.
User service is a
Spring
Spring
Bean.
Spring Bean.
User service is a
It is a
Spring
Spring
Bean.
Bean.
that
Spring
user
Bean.
service is having a dependency or user service doesn't have a dependency. User
Has
service is
dependency.
having
It
a
having the
Dependency.
Yes,
depend-
DAO
private
dependency.
user service is having a dependency. Private user DAO of DAO. Now, how we have specified a dependency for this? By using
at the rate auto-wide.
the rate auto wide. We specified at the rate auto wide.
Auto-wide.
Now, this user DAO, can I say it is an interface now?
Yes.
Can I say interface now?
Yes, sir.
Here
Yes.
we are having user DAO. We are having user DAO, which is a interface. In this interface, we have one method. Okay. Public string find name by ID. Public string find name by ID. Integer some ID. Very good. This is my interface.
Test to implementation classes.
Now, how many implementation classes are available for this interface now? There are
Two implementation classes
are
there.
available. One is
User
user
DAO,
IMPL.
another one is
person
DAO,
IMPL.
person DAO IMPL. Both classes are implementing the same interface. So one interface can have multiple implementation classes. Yes or no?
Yes.
One interface
Yes, sir.
can have multiple implementation classes or not?
Yes.
Yes.
One interface can have multiple implementation classes. Very good. Now my service is a target. My service is having dependency with the user DAO. My service is having a dependency with the user DAO.
DAO.
I specified the dependency by using auto wiring. Now, so IOC can create the object for the user DAO, or IOC cannot create the object for the user DAO.
Cannot create.
Cannot create.
It created the
Created because it's have a implementation classes.
It will.
IOC has to create the object for implementation class. IOC has to create the object for the implementation class.
Yes.
Okay. Now, here it is going to check like this. Array, if I want to create the object for the user service, first I need to create the object for user service, then I need to inject the dependent of the user service. The dependent is what? User DAO. So variable name is DAO, data type is the user DAO. So what is the mode of the auto wiring now?
By type.
By type.
Based on the data type, it has to identify the dependent object. The data type is belongs to a class, or the data type is belongs to a interface.
Interface.
Data type belongs to a interface. When that is an interface, it cannot inject the interface object, so it is going to identify implementation classes available for the interface. It is going to identify implementation classes available for the interface. Now, here, if there is only one implementation, no problem. Directly create the object for the DAO IMPL and inject the DAO IMPL object into DAO variable. Because in the Java, a interface reference variable can hold its implementation class object. Interface reference variable can hold its implementation class object. But in our scenario, one implementation is available or two implementations are available.
Two
Two
implementation.
implementations are available.
Implementations are available. Now, which implementation object it has to inject now?
First
User
one.
DAO MPL.
IOC
User
doesn't know.
First one.
Ambiguity problem. Ambiguity
Ambiguity.
problem.
Ambiguity.
So here, how many implementations are available?
Two implementations are available.
Implementations are
More
available.
than one implementation available. If more than one implementation available, can IOC will decide which implementation it has to inject?
No.
No, sir. Ambiguity
User will
problem will
decide.
Check it. Check it. Check it. Run this application. Run this application. What happened? Application started or application failed?
Application failed to start.
See here. Person DAO IMPL object created, user DAO IMPL object created, report DAO object is created, but it is failed. Field DAO in the service required a single bean, but two were found.
But two were found.
That may Mr. Ms. Moni Singh, please mute your mic.
Yeah.
Right now, here it has to inject the dependent object into service object. For the dependent, there are two implementations are available. IOC requires only one bean to inject, but it identified two beans. That's why it got confused here. Boss, I need to inject the object to the DAO field available in the user service. For that, I required a single bean, but two were found. So what is the action? They are telling the solution also. What they are telling? Consider marking one of the bean as a primary, updating the consumer to accept multiple beans, or using qualifier to identify the bean that should be consumed. That means they are telling two solutions. Here you are facing ambiguity problem. You can resolve that ambiguity problem in two ways. One is by using at primary annotation. Another one is by using at qualifier annotation.
Qualifier.
Okay. Now, what is the meaning of at primary? Suppose person DAO available. For the person DAO, I will specify at primary. I will specify at primary. What is this primary annotation? What they are talking about the primary annotation indicates that a bean should be given preference when multiple candidates are qualified to auto-vary a single valued dependency. That means if there are multiple beans are eligible for the auto wiring, this annotation will give the priority to the bean. Okay. Now, when I give at primary annotation for the person DAO, what will happen? What will happen now?
Preference will be given to person DAO
Person,
implementation.
yes. IOC container will different preference to person DAO
Right
MPL.
now, so when I should go for this one, if multiple beans are qualified for the auto wiring for the single variable, if you want to give the preference to a particular bean, then you will give at primary annotation for that. When this kind of problem you will face, when you go for by type mechanism, based on the data type, it is going to identify the dependent. Our data type is a interface. That interface contains several implementation. Both person DAO IMPL, user DAO IMPL are qualified for the auto wiring. Out of these two, which one we need to make as a primary bean for the auto wiring? For that class, we are giving at primary annotation. Do you understand what is the purpose of primary annotation? It indicates that a bean should be given preference when multiple candidates are qualified to auto vary a single value dependency. If exactly one primary bean exists among the candidates, it will be the auto varied value. If you give two beans with at primary, again it is a confusing. There should be only one bean with the at primary. When multiple beans are enabled, when multiple beans are qualified for the auto wiring, only for one bean you need to specify at primary. Then that bean will get the preference for the auto wiring. Then that bean will get the preference for the auto wiring. Are you getting my point, sir?
Yes, sir.
Come on, are you getting my point or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now let me write at primary annotation at the person IMPL. Okay. Now let us verify what is going to happen. Now let us verify what is going to happen. Run this program.
Person DAO implementation called.
Which class method is called now?
Person DAO implement.
Person DAO method is called. Why person DAO method is called?
Because we have provided at primary annotation which give
primary
preference
We have
to
provided
inject,
at primary annotation.
which give preference to the
DOIMP object injected into whatever.
Why we give? What is the purpose of at primary annotation now?
If multiple
What is the
beans
purpose of
are
at primary
qualified
annotation
for
now?
the auto
Class
wiring,
having
then it will give the priority for
interface having multiple implementation classes, and then we need to all of them qualified for the upgrade auto buying.
if multiple implementation classes are eligible to auto wire, then at primary will give preference to the particular class.
B.
Okay, very good. Now let me remove at primary from here and let me specify at primary here. Now, which bean will be eligible for the auto wiring?
It's a DOIMPL.
DAO
User
IMPL will be eligible
DO.
for the DAO IMPL will be eligible for the auto wiring.
Auto
Now,
wiring.
good, excellent. Run it. Run it. Yeah. User DAO IMPL is called or not?
Yes.
User
Yes.
DAO is getting the priority for the auto wiring or not? Okay.
Yes.
Suppose if I give primary for both beans,
I get the
Then
same.
again it will be raised ambiguity problem.
Ambiguity
the
problem.
ambiguity problem. Verify this. What happened? No unique definition, no qualifying bean is available for the auto wiring. So do you understand when one interface having multiple implementations, how to specify auto wiring for that? By using primary.
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
1 second, hold on. We have another approach also. What is that is, now here we can take UDAO. UDAO is the name of the bean I am giving. For this one, I am giving the bean name as a PDAO. UDAO and PDAO we are giving as a dependence. UDAO and PDAO we are giving as a dependence for this one. UDAO, PDAO we are going to specify for this one. Now, when we have a service, how we will specify which bean to be injected? Did I specify at primary or I have not specified at primary?
Not specified.
Not specified.
Did I specified at primary or I have not specified at primary?
Not
We have not
specified.
specified the primary.
We have not specified at primary. Now, if I don't specify at primary, auto wiring will happen or auto wiring will not happen.
Auto wiring will not happen and
Auto wiring will not happen. Auto wiring will not happen.
ambiguity.
Okay, it is a ambiguity problem. It is a ambiguity problem. Now, in order to resolve that ambiguity problem, we are going to use one annotation called at qualifier. At qualifier. When I use at qualifier, auto wiring will happen by name. Auto wiring will happen with the by name mechanism. Auto wiring will happen with the by name mechanism. Are you able to follow this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Are you able to follow this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
So by name in the sense implementation class name, right?
Bean name. Based on the name of the bean, it is going to identify which bean it has to inject. Okay. Now, user DAO is available. User DAO is what? It is an interface. For this interface, we need to have an implementation class object. How many implementation classes are available?
Two.
How many implementation classes are available?
Two.
Two implementation classes are available. Two implementation classes are available for this. Now, what I am doing is, for this user DAO IMPL, I am giving bean name as UDAO. For person DAO IMPL, I am giving the name as PDAO. UDAO, PDAO. Now, for the two classes, names are available. For the two classes, names are available. Now, what I am trying to do is, here, I am going to specify at qualifier annotation. Here I am going to specify at qualifier annotation. Okay, I am giving the name as UDAO. I am giving the name as a UDAO. Okay. Now, which bean will be injected? How it will identify the dependent bean now? Is it going to check based on the data type, or is it based on the name of the bean?
By name.
By name.
Based on the name of
Check
the
based on the data type, or is it going to check based on the name?
Based on the name.
It is going to check based on the name. Are you guys clear with this one? What is by name and what is by type?
Yes, sir.
What is by
Yes.
name? What is by name?
By name.
By name,
It will identify the bean by the name.
It will identify the dependent bean based on the data type. When you go for by type mechanism, based on the data type, it is going to identify that. So whenever you go for by type, there is a chance of getting the ambiguity, or there is no chance of getting the ambiguity.
So chance
There
of
is a chance of ambiguity.
There is a chance of getting the ambiguity, or there is no chance of getting the ambiguity. There is a chance of
Chance of
ambiguity. There is a chance of getting the ambiguity problem.
Sir, using the primary is a one implementation class, and we can declare as one of the qualifier in service class. Means what
Sorry guys.
Yeah, we identify as a qualifier one of the implementation class as a name, and we can use as a primary in another one implementation class. So what will happen? What will take in that implementation class?
Ambiguity, right? Only one bean should be there as a primary. Only one bean should be there as a primary, not two beans. If you have two beans with the primary, then again it is a confusing. Which bean should be used for the auto wiring? Okay, there should be only one bean with the primary that should be eligible for the auto wiring.
Sir, in this case, we have suppose if you are taking one more interface, we can implement one more class also. What
you can inject two dependents also, no problem.
Okay.
You can inject two dependent. Now, let me show you one real-time scenario. In my project batches, we have implemented that.
In data source configuration.
Hold on. I'm going to my workspace. Guys, please mute your mics. Some songs are coming. Now, let me open this class. Yeah. What is this? What is this? At the rate auto wiring.
At the rate auto wiring.
CO batch
You can
service.
say
CO batch service. So CO batch service is a class or interface? Interface.
Interface.
Interface. Now, what will happen in this project now? It will identify implementation class object for this interface.
is available or not.
Here.
By type.
By type. Here also by type will work. Here also by type will work. So why I have not given qualified annotation here? Because for the interface only one implementation class is available. If we have more than one implementation class, then we
Then
should go for
ambiguity.
either
we can
primary.
At primary or at
We should go
qualifier?
for primary.
primary,
Not primary.
qualifier.
If
At
not
qualifier.
primary, qualifier.
Sir, I would like to execute two bean classes.
Sorry?
Like to execute two bean classes to perform in dependency. Is there any way?
No.
No, only one. Sir, simple example, sir. General, think about Java. I have a variable integer I. Can I store both 10 and 20 values?
No.
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 How can you store two objects into one variable?
Yeah.
Either I need to store 10 or 20. Can I store both 10 and 20?
No.
No, sir, only 10.
Only 10.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. If I want to, sir, hi, sir. Sir, if I want to choose one of that implementation class dynamically at runtime based on.
No, sir. You have to give at the time of component scanning only. It has to identify. Dynamically, you can't do that. If you want to do dynamically, then you need to go for interface injection. You need to get the bean object manually.
So that aware interfaces.
Aware interfaces you need to go for.
So based on the request, I need to inject the class means I need to go aware injection.
Exactly. That is interface injection. You need to inject the IOC container into your bean.
Sir,
So, sir,
Okay,
sir,
sir.
so AutoAdd simply by type and qualify is simply by name.
Yep.
So in AutoAdd there is an ambiguity issue. To resolve that, we have to use primary or either qualifier.
Yep.
Okay.
Sir, if you use UDAO class means that person DAO class is useless now, right?
Sorry.
If you are using at qualifier UDAO means if you run the project means every time user DAO implementation class will be available. So person DAO implement, what's the purpose of that class? Sir?
One more variable with another name. Then we have to
Plant
inject
Yep.
with
So if you
qualifier.
have that scenario,
okay.
that you can take it, sir. If you have that scenario, you can take it. So
Okay,
I'm telling you, if you get that ambiguity, how to resolve it. Generally, we don't do that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, got it.
Sir, if both have same names, sir, for example, user DAO, IMPL as well as person DAO, same names, then we will get ambiguity, right, sir?
Can you create two classes with the same name?
No, cannot create.
No, class not name. AutoWire, I mean, we are mentioning name
You
equal
should
to, right, sir?
not give that. You should not give that, sir. You should have a beans with different names.
Okay, that should be.
Two beans, you can't give the same name. Two beans should have two different names.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
So the names will be unique. Actually, you should be taken.
Yep.
Sir, hello. Sir.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, to avoid the ambiguity, we want to give the name in between the qualifier, and we want to mention the primary annotation that this class should be implemented, right?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Right.
Sir,
One second. What I'm asking,
sir.
use qualifier plus primary, right? Both.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
But Ashok, if we want to use only qualifier, then we can do no.
How we can do it, sir? No problem.
No. Okay.
Sir,
what if we use qualifier at user service and person DAO implementation as primary, make it a primary?
Sorry, can you come again?
Sir, what if we specify person DAO IMPL as primary and we use @qualifier as user DAO?
You mean to say person DAO you will make as a primary and you will do that as a qualifier for user DAO, which one it is going to take? Huh?
Yes.
Here you will use user DAO and you will do primary for this. Huh?
Sir, if we have qualifier annotation, it automatically considers a by name, maybe.
Yep. Let me check it. Yep. I have given at primary. For person DAO. But at the time of injection, I specified the qualifier as a UDAO. So I'm trying to confuse the IOCC, which one it is going to take. Which one it is taking? Which one it is taking, sir?
User DAO.
User DAO.
Why it is taking user DAO? Simple. Here, when I specify the auto wiring, IOC is getting confused, or IOC directly taking this one?
Directly taking
this one.
Directly taking this one. When the primary annotation comes into picture,
there is no qualifier.
Ambiguity.
There is ambiguity.
There are multiple beans are qualified for the auto wire for the same variable, then primary comes into picture. First of all, in this scenario, IOC is confusing or IOC is not confusing.
No, not
confusing.
Directly it is identified that UDAO bean object is required and it is injecting. That's why it is not going to the primary.
Yes. Right.
Got it?
Yes.
Yep, right. Fine.
Could you please come again? Actually, I missed the point. Yeah.
Yep. So here, when I specify at qualifier, IOC already got the information to which bin it has to inject, or IOC don't have information to which bin it has to inject?
Already has information.
Already has the information because it has to inject the UDAO object.
Yes.
When that primary bin comes into picture, if there is
an ambiguity issue.
If there is an ambiguity, then only primary comes into picture. First of all, ambiguity is coming here or ambiguity is not coming here?
Not here, sir.
User clearly got the information by the qualifier annotation with the name.
Exactly. That's why it is injecting the user DAO object directly.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Got clear.
You already have class implementations, right? So why should
Yep.
we actually auto-wire the interface? Why can't you actually auto-wire the class implementation directly so that we don't require to do?
If you implement the class directly, then it will be tightly coupled.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Sir, can we perform dependency injection on local variables instead of instance variables?
No, sir, no. Because it is going to check at the class level auto-wire candidates. If I specify a variable inside this, if I do auto wiring, can IOC understand or IOC cannot understand it? First of all, is it allowed here?
No.
No.
We can't do that. We can't
It's
do
not
that.
allowed.
I think we have to write auto-wide and below this one qualifier. Can I write like this?
Yeah, you can specify qualifier anywhere, no problem. But
About,
qualifier should be used only when you have auto wire. Otherwise, there is no use of the qualifier.
Okay. Along with auto-wide, we are using.
Yeah, wherever the auto wire is there, you can specify qualifier there.
Okay, requirement.
Yeah, without auto wiring, there is no use of qualifier.
Okay. Can I write like this one?
And sir, so one thing, sir. Two implementation classes there, and I want to make IOC to create the object for particular implementation class. That's why we have to use qualifier and mention that bin, sir.
Sorry.
Okay, sir. My question is, suppose I do have two implementation class, okay, and I'm letting IOC to create the object for a particular bin.
Yep.
For that, we can mention in qualifier that bin we can mention.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, so then only IOC will create the object for that particular bin.
Exactly.
Okay, sir.
Sir, what will happen if we provide a repository annotation in user DAO?
Sorry?
What will happen if we provide use at repository annotation in user DAO interface?
You want to provide repository annotation here only directly. Even if you provide this, will it create the object?
No, it will not. Just try.
No problem. Nothing will happen. User DAO
Is it possible to use the qualifier annotation?
Sorry?
Sir, qualifier annotation we can use only the service class or in
Anywhere, sir. Wherever you do auto wiring, there you can use qualifier. Not only in service. Anywhere you can use it. Okay. Good. Fine, guys.
implementation class, and also we can use that.
Yep. You can use it, sir.
Sir, application Java, can you go, sir? Sir, application Java.
Yep.
Sir, can I pass here service that print username 102, 103 other classes?
Yeah, you can do one. Just better parameter, man. Anything you can pass. And one more thing, guys. After the class is completed, people are asking, please share your code. Stupids. You have to practice it. You joined here to learn the coding, not to copy paste. Okay, I want you people to practice these programs and come back. Good. Tomorrow we'll continue. Tomorrow also we have a class.
Sir, one doubt, sir. Sir, could you please tell us about the reflection API, how dynamically objects are created using class.front?
We'll come to that, sir. We'll come to that. I will take that scenario in the course and I will
Sir, briefly just tell me, sir.
Sir, within 1 minute I can't explain that, man. That's what I'm telling you. I have another class now. Okay.
Sir, today's class will available in YouTube.
Whenever the
Today's class
situation
will
comes, I will
available.
explain. Today's class, I will share the recording to your mails.